Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is about game 11 of the Gukesh World Championship match together with Leela. I saw the comment from Tony, let's go, let's go, let's go, so I felt I had to go live. Hello, good morning, Tony. I am actually afraid that this is only going to be a sort of a 2 hour, 2.25 hour stream today because my mother has the temerity to be to almost have her birthday, so we've got a big family celebration during lunch. So I'm afraid it's only going to be the first part. It's a bit of a shame, actually, in terms of having. Thank you, Tony. It's in terms of judging right. I mean, I'm going to be there all for the whole game on Monday as well. But I've just got Dings Whites games, and I don't have the feeling that that much is going to be happening there. Not unless something dramatic happens today. But yeah, I have the feeling that today is going to be quite a dramatic game. But anyway, that's we'll have a good couple of hours together. And well, then there's lots of hey Max. Then there's lots of other good streamers to look at. The Leela Chess ones I definitely always recommend, certainly. But there's lots of other good ones. David Howell and Javanka are always good to watch as well. Anish and Peter, if you fancy having a tough time for your brain. Crazy Leela for home use. It's actually there's quite big instructions on my blog, actually, if you have a look at that, because it's always a little bit tricky doing videos like that. But if you just have a look at on my blog, matthewsadler.me.uk, and just look for Crazy Leela, there's a whole thing about how to set it up with screenshots and everything, so that should help quite a bit. I have had reports from a couple of people who do that quite well. Hey, Mr. Beads. Yeah, just to warn everyone that this is really only going to be a 2 hour, 2.25 hour stream, just because, yeah, it's my mum's. We're celebrating my mum's birthday a little bit early today, but it's all the family's coming along, so I'm going to have to stop for that. And yeah, I was saying, unfortunately, that I've on Monday I'm going to do the whole game, but obviously I've just managed to pick Dings White's game somehow, and I feel we're going to have a little bit less incident than today. Schwindel and Jan, yeah, they were good fun. They were nice together. Peter and Anisha are very nice too, but a little bit more. Yeah, you have to work hard to keep up somehow. Yeah, it's but yeah, they're definitely the ultra chess players option, those two. But there's a good range. It's quite nice somehow that great. Nana Sadler, thank you, Enrique. Yeah, no, birthdays for my mum. I don't know, somehow, I don't know about you, but I mean, when I was about yeah, I don't know, 25, 26. Hello, Mr. Pizza. I sort of lost interest in my birthdays, really. But for my mum, she's 82 and still going strong. So actually 82, I said 83 in actual fact. So still going strong and still enjoying an older version of that player. Oh, hey, Demore, 67. Well, hopefully in any case the opening is going to be interesting. In any case, going to be very interesting to see what Gukesh is going to do there. By the way, I just thought I'd share something. Just something. I got a mail from Larry Kaufman. He's really nice. He's always regularly giving updates on the whole Leela odds thing. By the way, but he shared this thing, which is the Leela Queen odds leaderboard. So these are the people who are playing Leela and at Queen odds, and these are the best scores against them. It's I'll just put that in there. There's all sorts of nice stuff happening around Leela and odds. So there we are. And I'll just mention the video series that's coming up. I've started a few already, but there's loads more to come, which is all tactical puzzles from Leela's odds games as well. So I think it's a really nice series. The first one got some good feedback, so yeah, not too difficult actually. Really quite easy tactics, but actually really nice as well somehow. So and quite amazing. Some of them are quite bizarre. Mates in the middle of the board without the queen. So let's have a look. I think if Gukesh wants to be a real man today, then he's going to play 1e4 and take on the French again. Yeah, I think so. I think he probably will have that feeling that he should probably do that. Whether it's wise or not, I don't know. Um, but I think if his final white game, it's that's a big number of candles. Exactly. It makes it a bigger cake, right? Um, yeah, Matthew had the misfortune of being born in the UK, indeed. It's but yeah, I sort of think that I don't think that Gukesh will risk everything on his last white game. I mean, he'll try and play a positive opening, I think, but you can't go bananas. So I think if you're going to make a real go of it, then you're going to do it in this game, I think, and a real go of it probably involves e4. And then the interesting question is the French all that Ding's got against 1e4, or is he going to go for something else? Difficult to say. But I'm sure Gukesh must have spent quite a lot of time preparing, on the rest day and looking through his line. Oh, one knight f3. Well, well. How you fun? Yeah, she's always 1e4 player, so I sort of thought that one knight f3. Well, that's a surprise to me, I have to say. I have to say that's a surprise. I really thought that Gukesh would take the opportunity today to kind of go for it, because if he gets it wrong, he's still got the opportunity, right? But yeah, okay. So it probably means that the last, yeah, we're going to be verging on the solid. I think could be that both players vaguely got an eye on the playoffs somehow. Okay, this is quite interesting too. I'm guessing that Ding will play e6 here, I guess. Yeah, very interesting. Actually, what does Leela recommend against this? C4 likes D4, of course. Yeah, C6, semi-Slav for Mr. Beads. E6 is very solid. D takes C4. Oh, E4. Wow, that's yeah. I mean, black's got a lot of Ragozin again. Well, this can get quite exciting actually. So we'll just bear hold our criticism for now, Tony. So yeah, this is always a nice move order against Queen's Gambit accepted players, because well, you can play d takes c4 if you want to play a Queen's Gambit accepted, but then white's got a few different possibilities. Queen a4 is one. Knight a3 is a particularly nice one. That was played a lot in the 1930s actually, and then knight c4 and then b3 g3, quite nice. E3 is also interesting. I mean, the idea is you take on c4 and you play b3, bishop b2, but you don't commit the pawn to d4. So yeah, you've got extra possibilities like this. I mean, Crazy Leela would have a field day there. So certainly when I was little and I only played the Queen's Gambit accepted, this was a bit of an awkward one. The best move is d4. Absolutely. Wow. Ding. That is interesting. And now b4, that's also quite interesting. And e3, well. So there was actually e3 is also an interesting move, and the big problem with that was knight c6, and there's a book by yeah, I suppose you say a now slightly infamous player, but a chess-based DVD that recommended b4 as a pawn sacrifice. Quite interesting, and actually, this was also played in a game, Natasha Regan against AlphaZero, a little practice game that we played, and AlphaZero played e5, I think, which is the best move, and it didn't go so well for Natasha. but quite interesting. But b4 is fine, and but I mean, there's loads of moves here, right? I mean, there's g5 is quite dangerous for black. The idea being that you sacrifice a pawn like that, a real crazy Leela idea, and yeah, made me think very much of I don't know whether you know the crazy Leela idea. I've done a video on it, but the Benko idea, b5 takes a6 g4, which is actually pretty strong in actual fact. So but b4 g5 is well known. Morozevich, first player to play that. f6 is supposed to be the best move. Yeah, this is supposed to be the best move. And then e3, e5, with the typical idea e takes d4, e4 is irritating. So what you do there normally is play the move c5. This is really sharp, really sharp, this line. After c5, e3. Well, I mean, we're offering a Blumenfeld, right? A Blumenfeld reversed. Takes on b4, and then d4. So this is quite quite sexy. This is. Let's have a look at what Leela's saying here. So b4, after b4, Leela likes c5. Strangely enough, doesn't like any of the other stuff. Just have a quick look to see what. So g5 against g5, which is a lot of fun. Leela just saying h3. Funnily enough, interesting. h6 g3. Bishop g7 d3. No, it's quite reasonable for black, right? I mean, you've got taking this space like this is not at all bad. Would have been a bit surprised with g5, of course, in a world championship, but still. And after f6, what was Leela saying? I mean, very unbalanced there. This 28% white win, 23%, just 48% draw. So, and the whole line's very unbalanced. This is probably quite well-known theory. Yeah, queen a4, b5. Bishop c4, bishop a3. This is all really well known, right? Even I know this theory completely. King f8, knight d2. But okay, it's crazy, right? I mean, it's a really weird, crazy position. So there should be some stuff to find. But it's interesting, right? I mean, really interesting line. There's quite a few yeah, there's quite a few books on this. There's one thinkers publishing book by a French GM, Adrien Demout, I think, who yeah, also does some analysis, a lot of analysis on the Reti as well. I mean, actually, I'm just thinking that wasn't there was a sort of a player sheet on Gukesh, and he said, "What opening would you like to be named after you?" And he said the Reti. He also said that Game Changer was his favorite book on there as well. But he also said that the Reti, like the Reti, to be named after him. So maybe that was a little subliminal hint somehow. But yeah, after c5, e3 was Leela's move. And now Ding is thinking. Yeah, I mean, very interesting. I mean, there's an interesting choice, right? I mean, you can just play like this and play for... Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've got a massive score with I've got a massive score with it, Mr. Pizza. So I'm happy with my G4 line. Yeah, I mean, this is a really this is a fundamental choice somehow. Yeah, it's a little bit like Leela odds somehow. Yeah, but yeah. I'm not quite sure why Leela, the engines would never seem to take the bishop pair somehow. It's really weird. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously a big thing, very interesting thing here. But I mean, you need some big analysis, I think, with white really to make this work. But yeah, the chances that there is some big analysis here is really is quite likely. I would expect Ding most likely to well, I don't know. As black, he's been quite concrete somehow. So intriguing little. Yeah, no, I don't think he particularly expected this somehow. So, well, let's have a little look on the databases and just see whether we can find anything. I've upgraded to chess base 18. So I have also had my first crashes as well, so it's all it's as you would expect, really. So let's have a quick look. What do we have any previous games of Ding against d5 c4? You would have thought we would do, really. Sorry, scrolling. Come on, Ding. Oh, scrolling. Almost there. Nearly there. Ding. Where are we? Just one game. Oh, good Lord. One game by Adiban. Yay! Well done, loose horse puzzling. It's always nice to hear that. But John, I like to live dangerously, right? You know that. It's okay. So there's a game, Adiban against Ding Liren from. Let's have a look. 2021, and let me just show you how the game went. That is quite interesting. The game went e3, and Ding played knight f6, which is the Leela top move. Knight f6, b5, and now knight bd7 from Ding. Queen c7 is the move that Leela is playing. That's very sensible, actually. Just preparing e5, and if e takes d4, c takes d4, knight d4, we've got the gorgeous queen e5 check, which picks up either the knight or the rook on a1, or does it? Well, we'll have to investigate that a little bit later. But queen c7 is Leela's move. But so this happened. So it was actually Ding actually sacrificed a pawn here. This was an online game. Knight c5, quite promising actually. Knight bd2, bishop f5. Ding playing very actively here. Takes, bishop b2, queen d6, castles. Whoa, h5. Ding was really going for it, but basically he really defeated Adiban very, very easily in this line. So this is Ding's previous form in this line. So there and knight bd7. Oh, look at that! It's now Leela's main move. Oh, yeah, this whole thing that Ding's playing is actually become Leela's main move now. Wow, interesting. So we're going to have to see what Gukesh has got prepared in this. Now, I'm just going to have a quick look over to see how often has Gukesh played this as white, this line. Slightly intrigued now. Sorry, I'm scrolling down the players list. Oh dear. Ke. JK. Oh, sorry. K's before L. Don't think we've got many games, have we? HI. Gukesh, one game. He's only played one game with 2c4, and Black played 2c6 in that game. So, yeah, interesting. But Leela is coming. So Ding played the Leela recommendation before. Knight f6, b5, knight bd7. Interesting. Very interesting, actually. So, yeah, I mean, after knight f6, well, I mean, white does have a reasonable choice here, right? I mean, b5 is interesting to stop knight c6. But, yeah, I mean, in some ways, you sort of think, well, I've got this pressure against this pawn. It's a little bit sad to do it. Of course, the idea is b takes c5, knight c6, and then black will be ready to follow up with e5, which will be quite good. I mean, you could definitely consider c takes d4 here. I mean, this is always interesting to do it this way and leave these pawns, but it's probably still around even, to be honest. But but I mean, you could play c takes d4 and then do something, and and you have to choose what. I mean, d3, you might get hit by e5, because these lines are typically quite decent for black. You know, you break up the center. It's not, you know, white doesn't have an extra pawn in the center, so this is generally quite pleasant. So, of course, you can play a move like a3 and just protect the pawn. But then, yeah, black gets, you know, the bishop to d6 and develops. Maybe if you play a3, maybe you can make it a bit harder for black to achieve e5. You know, there might be some sort of subtleties like this hanging around. You've always got to watch out for d3 in these lines there. I mean, this can be, but I would have thought that with white being white, extra tempo, and also having the extra tempo of consolidated these, that this wouldn't be wouldn't be so dangerous. You've got to watch out though on these things. So yeah, I mean, taking and a3 and d3 would be possible, certainly. I mean, what else is possible? I mean, you could play a move like bishop b2, and we just see what is black intending there. Not a bad question. I mean, you know, maybe you're just forcing black to go back into this line. Although white doesn't always play the bishop on b2 in the engine lines. They tend to, it's slightly strange. It feels very natural, but often they keep the bishop on c1 and just try and play e4 and bring the bishop out here. So that might actually yeah, no, this is a good. This is quite a sharp thing actually. So this is definitely a good a good choice for a sharp game. And I mean, you're offering all sorts of pawn sacrifices as well. And yeah, Gukesh has not done this that much, so you know, it's not necessarily something that Ding would know. And of course, you know, his previous game was against an Indian player. So yeah, even though it's the best line, looks like, according to Leela, yeah, obviously he's got to expect some sort of surprise there. But yeah, interesting that Leela's you know, gravitating to that as the best line. Oh, Leela taking the bishop now in this line. So I mean, this is the sort of thing that could be possible. As you'll see, I'm just sort of illustrating that the engines aren't putting the bishop on b2. You know, they're tending to put it on f4 or something like that. But this is quite a nice position, right? I mean, it's you know, you've got play, you've got counterplay. Black's got to deal with whatever you've got, you know, and Komodo 14 expects knight f6, bishop b2. Yeah, that's possible. But with 0 plus 0.3, my goodness. I wouldn't have thought. Yeah. These positions, you know, the Blumenfelds are, yeah, they're somewhat slightly less promising than you'd hope. Put it that way, you know. But I mean, other ideas that you can just take from the Benko, right? Because this is, I mean, this is actually a Benko line. And knight f3 is something I played for a very long time. But here, black's got an extra e6. But if you're looking at the e5, oh, very nice. What's Leela saying about that one? Yeah. God, that's not even on Leela's main moves. Oh yeah, no, it's there. It's there. E5. Wow. Knight takes e5, queen f6. Right, I'd be surprised if that happened. But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting, right? Some counterplay there. Oh, and you're just playing like this, just playing it a bit boring somehow. But yeah. I've spent ages of time when I've been. It was quite old. Yeah, you know, in the old days when I was professional, spending a lot of time early on in the opening was quite normal. But of course, you know, I didn't have lots of computer preparation, so there was stuff that you weren't sure about. You could get caught out. Or you know, stuff that you only vaguely knew something about, and you just sort of settle yourself and work out a plan. It's much more unusual nowadays. Nowadays the players are just, you know, rattling out the opening moves and showing how much they know. That's Sort of the Nakamura approach, but it's quite common. But this is quite unusual for modern stuff. Just have a look. G5, is G5 a possibility still? Yeah, look at that one. G5. G5, B takes C5, E5. Yeah, I think if Ding does this, we assume that he's gone completely bananas. But oh, look at that! Look at this line: takes D3, G4, knight takes D4, Queen E2 check, so that we fork with Bishop B2, and then wow, what's this? Takes, Queen D2, D4. Is the bishop going to be trapped? Well, this would be a hell of a line somehow. But yeah, I think you would have gone G5 the previous move if you're ever going to do that. But yeah, I mean, if just talking about the comparisons to the Benko with knight f3. So, what are the lines for black? B4 is possible for black. That's a well-known idea. There's a well-known game actually. I'm trying to think how it went. It was D6. Was it A5? I think takes, knight B2, D6, E4, G6. C5. This was a well-known game for back in my day, and was supposed to be very strong for white. But so B4 has been played. Actually, what's often been played is the move Queen A5 check, and you play Bishop D2 as white, and then black plays B4, and you've misplaced the bishop on D2. So the bishop will have to move again to play knight BD2, but that's quite a common idea as well. And what else is played? Well, G6 is sometimes played, just Benko style. Yeah, E6 has been played as well, and Bishop G5 is a way of avoiding the the gambit somehow. Another move is Bishop B7. This was actually this move Knight F3. I got it from Ray Keane's book. An attacking repertoire for white was very good, I have to say, back in the day. Was some of the things I still use nowadays. But there was a sharp line in there: A4, A6, takes, Rook A8 takes, Knight C3, B4, Knight B5, and you ended up sacking stuff somehow. It's I played it once. I didn't really understand it properly, I have to say, but that that's also quite possible as well. So yeah, I mean, here we've got this the black side, but with an extra E3. So after knight F6, you could think of a lot of things. Queen A4 check, not stupid, just to force Bishop D7, B5. I'd say Queen A4 check is definitely possible. Yeah, Bishop B2, as we've seen in this particular position, it's going to lead to a Blumenfeld where you've played the bishop to B2, which the engines don't particularly like, and I do tend to trust them on that. So I say that's probably not the most likely. E takes D4, definitely possible, and then black can either try and be a bit sexy with C takes B4, or just play C takes D4. That would be perfectly possible. Just wondering whether there's what else there is. Well, obviously B5, B takes C5, unlikely. I don't think you'll do that. Other stuff, yeah, maybe A3 is possible. Just a sort of a halfway holding move. You're white, so you can get away with that. Yeah, I don't know what else. What was I going to suggest? There's just one more move that vaguely occurs to me, which is knight E5. Yeah, just sort of putting the knight in there, and maybe waiting for a Queen A4. For example, if you go knight BD7, maybe a Queen A4. It might be a little bit tricky for black to get free somehow. Not clear. I mean, always with whenever you do stuff like this, you've got to watch out for ideas like this, and with the idea of Queen A4, Rook B4. I don't know whether it's working tactically in these lines, but you've got to watch out for those. But yeah, interesting. I mean, yes, a bit of a conundrum for Ding, actually, isn't it? Wondering, do I repeat what I think was best before? What will they have prepared it? I mean, I don't think that Gukesh will play B5. At least after knight BD7, this looks tremendously not very tempting to let black sacrifice the pawn and get the compensation like this. I can't imagine that that Ding would do anything like that. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that Gukesh would allow that. So I don't think that we'll see b5 after knight b7, or there'll have to be another. But I don't think there's another idea, right? I mean, I think e5 is happening unless we've got something absolutely outrageous. I don't think we'll see this. Obviously, I'm thinking about g4 here. You know, I mean, that's the kind of that's what I've kind of got somehow. But no, I would have thought that after knight f6, we'd see something something different. Maybe a queen a4 check or something like that, you know. But we'll see something different. I think. I don't think we'll see b5. But yeah, Ding's got to decide whether whether he wants to follow his previous good stuff, or whether he wants to take the pawn on take the gambit pawn somehow. I don't think he would really. I don't think he wants to do that, because there's bound to be some stuff in there. If you believe in your line, then I think you've there's nothing wrong with a move like knight f6 either, so you might as well. Wondering whether I was just wondering actually about the move knight d7. Whether good lord, sorry, sorry, just my personal thing there going wrong. Just wondering about the move knight d7. Oh, it's right down there. I was just wondering whether you could just improve things a little bit, and just try and get an e5 immediately, and if so after e takes, promise, yeah, e takes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, e5, knight c2. This is not so good. Could you play I'm just trying to think, maybe would Ding a5 was vaguely interesting for me as well. I mean, a5 is an interesting move for black. He might do it. He might do it. It is quite risky though, because there is a danger that that there's quite a lot of prep behind this pawn sacrifice. Or it could be that it can also be that well, I mean, thing is, Gukesh has got a whole team doing stuff for him. When you're facing somebody who's preparing on their own, then sometimes you can look at them and sort of say, I think you're just bluffing on this one. I don't think you've got anything special in this pawn sack line, so I'll take you on that. But I would have thought that Gukesh would have quite a bit of that engine backed as well, so it could be quite nasty. I'll have a good plan for it anyway. a5 is maybe not a stupid move if you're trying to work out something, but it's quite common here just to try and stabilize the structure. But what Leela thinks, takes bishop a3, e5, knight c3, knight f6. Yeah, not very obvious this somehow, but yeah, it makes sense that after a5 you play b takes c5 and then start fighting this pawn. But yeah, I mean, this is not this is maybe interesting, but again, it's something that this is more something that you'd like some preparation for. You'll only do this if you think this might come as a surprise to Gukesh. I'm just going to have a quick look, by the way, to see what lines Gukesh plays against the Benko, because I'm vaguely, that might have influenced his choice as well. I'm just looking at the Hierarchs book, by the way, just to see what Hierarchs is recommending against this. So knight f6, it's claiming as the best move, which is great. D takes c3, also a good move with an exclamation mark. Recommending f6 as a possibility, which is also quite sensible. D3, e5, just playing a samish reverse there. I wouldn't. That might be a choice for me. Yeah, I play it. Yeah, no, this is quite dangerous for Ding already. He could end up if he gets surprised after his next move. He could end up getting into time trouble. F6 is not stupid at all, I have to say. You do have to watch out though. There are knight takes e5 possibilities, fe, queen h5 all the time, and Yeah, that might be within Gukesh's preparation orbit, in a few lines. So yeah, yeah. Um, so that makes it um, G6 is another interesting line, which is a main move for Leela as well. Yeah, I always just a little bit. How's that looking? Ooh, rook b1, g4. Oh, ho. Yeah, this is looking quite sharp somehow. Yeah, I think White was just winning here somehow, but yeah, it seems to be. What is it? It's an advantage for White, but well, this is going for it somehow. Yeah. Phew. This sort of thing. It's just a little bit worrying. I find the G6 a bit worrying when you're already being nibbled at on your center. But yeah, you wouldn't necessarily see all these lines. Yeah, C5 is recommended by Leela indeed instead of F6. So I mean, I think there's a range of good moves, but all of them are quite sharp. Actually, there's one more thing that's interesting. I'm just seeing it on the Hierarchs book as well. The move Bishop G4 is also that's really if you're looking to avoid theory. It gets an exclamation mark from it gets exclamation question mark from Hierarchs. But yeah, I mean, this is just a little bit. Okay, I'm giving up the bishop pair. I'm just surviving quietly, and we'll play from there. But this should be just a nice little edge for White. You can't be too unhappy. But you can see it's bringing down the sort of the estimation there. So yeah, I mean that's possible somehow. There's what other moves are there? Yeah, no, that's more or less the sensible ones. So yeah, what would I think? I mean, I could think of yeah, hierarchs. Hierarchs. Let me just put that down. Hierarchs. Hierarchs. Um, so yeah, if you just search hierarchs on Google, then it's quite nice, good database program. I mean, it's quite expensive as well. There, it's not that much cheaper than ChessBase, I think, and you need to pay for the books. It's just got a couple of things that are quite nice. Actually, what's the best thing for me is that oh, I can just show you quickly whilst Ding's thinking. Let me just I'll just show you what I really like about it. Where's hierarchs? Yeah. I mean, it's got various books there, and they're organized in terms of different ones. This is a certain above 2600 only, and stuff like that. But the really nice thing is that it's a very flexible book thing. So what I can do is I can just put, for example, a Leela odds database in, and because ChessBase doesn't work with this, and then it'll just work out, okay, these were the top moves, and give you a whole tree of the games. So it's very interesting for seeing what the Leela odds openings are. Otherwise, you can't do it with ChessBase. So that's why I'm doing it. Gukesh looks like he's falling asleep. Ooh. Well, it's a bit disquieting somehow when your opponent spends so long over it gives you a bit of a weird feeling somehow, you're trying to stay awake, but on the other hand, you sort of yeah, knight h6 is possible. But I think that yeah, knight h6 is definitely a possibility as well. It's in there in Leela's moves. Knight h6, not a bad move either, actually. Bishop b2 takes. It's just that knight on h6 in this sort of situation, actually Leela's quite happy with a bishop on b2, and you're just leaving it here, and a bit hard to get developed. You can't go g6 and e6 bishop e7. The knights, so black ends up playing e6 and f6 somehow, and oh well, here Leela's is this crazy Leela? Leela's ending up going for it somehow. But yeah, knight h6 is possible. Knight h6 is possible. I wouldn't expect it. Feels maybe a bit too weird. I think, engine saying h3. I think f3 or bishop e3 normally is the one that people think is best. But yeah, I did have I done a crazy Leela video on that actually? No, I don't think I have actually. 6 bishop c4 and 7 bishop e3 is a very interesting line from Crazy Leela. But so what am I thinking? I'm thinking that knight f6 is possible from Ding, but I think we're going to see a surprise on move 5. I don't think we're going to see b5 from Gukesh, or at least I can't imagine that he'll want to repeat. I don't imagine that he'll want to play this main Leela line, which just looks like nice compensation for black. And he certainly won't want to repeat the Adiban game. So I think after knight bd7 we'll see something different. Maybe queen a4, for example, or knight f6, maybe queen a4 rather. From Ding, I don't think we'll see him going for the pawn sacrifice. I think he'll be wary of preparation there. So if we're looking at what other moves might he play, I think the most plausible ones are f6 or g6. If he's not going to play knight f6, maybe f6 or g6 then. But on the other hand, yeah, I mean, knight f6, if you're going to get a surprise, then, you could go knight f6 and think, well, after some surprise, I'll go g6 anyway later. Knight f6 would be a very sensible move to play, really. It's you spent a long time, yeah, 30 minutes already. Whoa. Yeah, 6 bishop c4, e6, bishop e3 is a crazy Leela suggestion, which I like very much. But Stockfish 17 saying h3. Yeah, it varies somehow, but and depends on the depth that you leave it. But normally f3 is or bishop e3 is coming out on top in general. But it does vary against the Najdorf. Bishop e2 was very popular at one stage with the engines, but this is I hadn't realized how long it was, right? God, 30 minutes, that's a long time. That's a long time. I mean, again, it's a very early stage. And I mean, you think back to your game against Adiban and you think, well, but this was really good for me, right? So I can't believe that this isn't that this would be bad. And then you think, well, yeah, you sort of work out that after knight f6, he's probably going to do something. So you just play it right after 10, 15 minutes. And you play it after 10, 15 minutes and you say, yeah. But maybe he's a bit worried, I guess. He's just not quite sure whether there's a big surprise. There can't be a big surprise planned, not already. After knight f6, there'll be something. I mean, that's the point. I don't think it'll be b5. I can't believe that Gukesh will go into this unless he's got some extraordinary analysis. And I guess that's what, because I mean, this Leela line, right? I mean, this is not too crazy for black. The question is, how precise does black need to be to make this interesting? This is not very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how difficult this is for a human player to roll with the punches. I mean, I can't. You can't wake up, slap. Indeed, Mr. Beads, that would be a popular audience feature, isn't it? That from time to time, you can either electrocute the player or slap him, especially in time trouble, of course. Yeah. Can't believe he's going to play knight f6 then. Well, it's very hard to tell with Ding, but I can't believe he's going to play knight f6 now. He would have done that. I mean, knight f6 is a move where you sort of say, look, I believe in it. I believe in the line that I played against Adiban. So, well, let's see what surprise you've got in store for me later. But I'll save a bit of time. I can't believe you're just going to play knight f6 and have burned 30 minutes and you're no closer to knowing what your opponent's got prepared for you. He thinks it's Gukesh's turn. Oh dear. So surely he must play something else, either g6 or f6. I think he's not going to spend 30 minutes and then 35 minutes and then take on e3. I mean, not unless you've got preparation of your own. That's way too much. That's really asking for it. The only way you would do that is if you suspected that your opponent, yeah, indeed. The only way you'd take on E3 is if you suspect that your opponent's bluffing a bit and that he hasn't really got anything specific planned against that. But yeah, that seems unlikely, really. Ha! Indeed. Whoa, this is a bit weird, though. This is a bit weird. I mean, I think you've got to play a move like F6 now, or some sort of system move, right? Or I'm not particularly keen on F6, I have to say. I am a Samish player somehow, but what's Leela saying now? Takes E5, bishop A3. He's very keen on this idea. Oh, good lord, this is not. Well, yeah, this would be more how Ding's been playing with black, but this is really, yeah, this is really out there somehow. Would be a great game, but yeah, wouldn't really recommend it. I think, yeah, G6 must be the most solid, surely, if you're looking to avoid the main stuff. Bishop G7, Bishop B2, Knight C6. That does look like the most solid, you know. Just do this. I'm never particularly keen on you. I mean, you're basically playing with white here. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knows the move that he was going to play, but whether he'd really prepared it for this World Championship or whether, you know, he just knows what he played before and he can recollect all the lines, that's possible. But it's just that, you know, after 4 knight F6, white's got a lot of possibilities. So, you know, I think you go through the lines that you played before, and then you say, okay, I remember that. Can I think of anything that, you know, is there anything that seems really unpleasant to me in that thing? I don't really think so, right? I'm all right. And then you just sort of do it, right? I mean, that's kind of what I feel. It hasn't really been hurting him, to be honest. He hasn't, you know, somehow Gukesh has always come back towards him somehow, yeah. So it hasn't really hurt him, I don't think. I think the only thing that you can say about it is that if your time management is not very good, then you're losing a possible way to hurt the opponent, because you can hurt the opponent by playing quickly, putting him under time pressure, and that has never really happened. So you could say there's a bit of a missed opportunity, but it hasn't really hurt him. He's played knight F6. All right, well, we're going to see what I'm expecting. Queen A4, to be honest. Oh, A3 from Gukesh. Right, okay, that was another move that we looked at. Engine's not particularly keen. Look at that. God. Oh, God. The engines don't like that at all, but I think that's maybe, yeah. But A3 so the engines hate it, right? I mean, that's quite extraordinary, really, how much they hate it. But this is really a sort of a holding move somehow, yeah. I mean, you're just saying, okay, after knight F6, you've had a long think. I wonder. I even wonder whether Gukesh would have played A3 if Ding had played knight F6 quickly. I wonder somehow. But this is a nice move to sort of say, okay, you played knight F6. Now let's see what. Now you've got to think of another plan because I'm just sort of holding somehow. So I think it's an aggressive time thing. A3. It's been played 4 times. No, 10 times. I can see in the Hierarchs database. Knight C6 is what they're recommending, but that's quite a. I mean, if you go knight C6 and we chase away the knight with B5 and you put on A5, that's quite a commitment. Quite a commitment somehow. So yeah, be interesting to see whether Ding thinks again. I think Ding is going to think again. To be honest, I can't believe he will have planned this. Let's have a look at what's in the database on this because this is yeah, completely outside my my knowledge here. Wow, I've only got one game in ChessBase, funnily enough, where a rather weak black player played B6, which is never going to happen. Is that all I've got? Wow. In the Hierarchs database, I've got. Let's have a look. 8 games here. Oh, 15 games here. 15 games. Um, and we're looking at actually the top two moves, knight c6 and a5 played. Any plans for a new updated edition on Queen's Gambit? No, probably not the Queen's Gambit declined. I'm not such a theoretical expert anymore now. So and I think the book, you know, the all the positional discussions in the book still stand. And for the theory, you should just go somewhere else, really. There's bound to be some good chessable courses or whatever out there to make that happen. But I think probably writing straight theory books are probably my days are gone for that. But I think the book is still bought nowadays, and I think it's still relevant. Some of the structures I discuss and everything, there's some really good content in there. But yeah, so knight c6 is Leela's main move. And now what have we got? The hierarchs database is saying b5, which I really do believe. Don't like Leela's idea at all there, I have to say. That does look rather odd. So, I mean, I think I think after knight c6, b5, and that will be the move that Ding is spending all his time considering. I think, yeah, because I mean, basically after b5, you have to put the knight on a5, and that's a hell of a quick commitment. Move 6 already. You're putting your knight offside. You know, it might be okay, but it might not. I've got 11 games in the hierarchs database here, so d3 is the main move. Gets the exclamation mark. And then black's done a number of things. A6 is interesting. E6, d takes c3 has been played the most. Bishop takes c3 and b6. This is the hierarchs database. I'm not feeling enormously enthusiastic here. All sorts of interesting moves. Bishop d2, bishop e2, and queen c2 even. Maybe we're aiming for a quick d4 there. Not sure. But I think you can see this is a pretty non-standard thing somehow. Yeah, bishop. This move's a little bit crazy somehow. Bishop d2. My goodness, what are these games? This looks like engine games, to be honest. Rook a3 and bishop e2. Just weird positions, right? Completely non-standard positions. But yeah, obviously, if Gukesh is prepared, then I can't believe that Ding is going to do this. He's not going to put his knight on a5. I mean, to be honest, even after preparation, I'd be, even if I would be wondering about it. What is Sese saying, by the way? Knight c6, yeah, they want to put the knight on a5, but this is a very difficult decision to take for a human player, right? Very difficult decision to take. I think that if we're going to see something from Ding, well, I mean, there's a number of possibilities, right? But this move is not stupid. A5. Hey, Guillaume. From Gukesh's point of view, yeah, I'm not sure really, but I think the clock times are definitely contribute. I think this is what Gukesh is really aiming for, right? This move a3 is just, you're just holding it and you're saying, okay, the problems still exist. You played knight f6. That's just a developing move. It hasn't done anything dramatic. The problems still exist. Go for it. What are you going to do now? And yeah, Ding is thinking again there. So he hadn't really decided what to do against a holding move like this. So I think from the time perspective, Gukesh has completely tricked him here. The position is pretty much whatever, but yeah, I mean, a5 is definitely something that I would think of with black here. I'm just wondering what Gukesh is doing. I mean, if you go b5, then this is not. This is, then I think Ding is quite reasonably happy. He'll probably do his knight bd7 again, and he'll probably be quite happy. So I don't think that b5 is going to be the move. B takes c5, knight c6. Oops, sorry. I don't think. Oh, good lord, sorry, I'm going bananas. I don't think that that including a3 and a5 has helped white particularly. Because I mean, you often want to put the knight on a3 or the bishop on a3, so I don't think that's helped. So I don't think we'll see bc. I would think that you would see bishop b2, to be honest. Then Um, and it can get quite interesting. I suppose takes, rook a1, bishop a1. To be honest, this is yeah, this is looking very, but yeah, I don't know. D takes c3, c takes b4, d4 e6. Is this really, has this improved for white? Maybe not, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, the engine's very keen on putting the knight on a5, simply, yeah, but I can't. Yeah, I just can't. I can't believe Ding will do that. A really, that's not tactically risky. That's a really risky positional decision, you know. And I don't think that you want to. That's not a decision you want to make already at move 6 to put a knight on a5. It could end up, you could end up ending up with a horrible game. You know, the engines can maybe make it work, but I don't like it at all. I would say that a5, just you know, looking back to this line from the white side that I showed there, I would say that in this sort of position, bishop b7, a4 is very common. So I would say that just trying to stabilize the queenside structure, that would be the way to go for black. And I'm pretty sure that Ding is going to do that. Question is, yeah, you know, what is Gukesh going to do here? I mean, Queen A4 check is a possibility. That's one idea again. You know, just so I think you go Bishop D7. The idea, of course, is that if you go Knight BD7, I go BC, and yeah, you know, well, I'm hoping that this. Well, yeah, I'm not even sure actually. Oh well, E5. I can go Knight takes C5. That's probably quite good. Bishop C5. Well, good. I mean, Black's got compensation here, right? But okay, maybe you can prepare this somehow. Maybe go Knight F3. Yeah, it's a bit hard to be sure with Black. Yeah, in a rapid game or whatever. The move E5. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but I can't imagine these ones are always possible. Leela actually played with 1,000 contempt. Yeah, that was hilarious. It got beaten by cheese. I mean, you know, moves like this they're always possible, but I don't think that Ding's going to do them. Simply, I can't believe that Ding will switch to a pawn sacrifice now. Wouldn't be so bad. Wouldn't be so bad. Certainly not. But Queen A4, the natural move is Bishop D7, and then you play B5, and the idea is that the knight can come to C6, and the bishop's on the way in the way. But I don't know whether including A3, A5 helps. I don't think it does, to be honest, including A3, A5. We've got to have a pretty cool idea here. I mean, I go Bishop F5 or Bishop G4. I don't really feel Bishop G4, maybe. How great is this for white? Not sure, not sure. It's you get a knight BD7 quickly. Yeah, I mean, there has to be, and there probably is a great deal um, preparation behind it. But A5 looks like a very decent move to me, and I'm not 100% sure what Gukesh is going to do about it. I think he has, you know, I think A3, A5, that this inclusion favors black rather than white. So I'm a little bit unsure as to what Gukesh will do there. I think that would be a good move, you know. I mean, E5. What is Leela saying about E5? Yeah, E5 is interesting. Takes. You take and go knight F3 and D3. But yeah, okay. Leela's having to do extraordinary things afterwards to justify it. You only do this if you've got preparation, right? You can't do this without. I don't think Ding will do. I'd be, you know, shocked. I'm only expecting A5. I mean, G6 is possible, but yeah, yeah. You could play this, I suppose. Bishop B2 and maybe you take off, or Bishop G7. Is that possible? I don't know though. You could just end up losing a pawn somehow, you know. You could just end up losing a pawn and then it's all and that's it basically. You know, I think you've got to be very careful at this stage. I think A5 is by far the best move for black. E5 knight takes E5 knight. See, bishop D6 was the idea, Dungal. Take some bishop D6. That was the idea. That's a little bit better somehow. It's compensation, but still, yeah. I mean, I might play something like that myself, but yeah. Yeah, no, A3 is just to make Ding think, I think. I'm even wondering a little bit whether it was really Gukesh's planned move. You know, if Ding had whipped out knight f6, I'm almost suspecting that Gukesh would have played something else. But this is maybe just based on, maybe they had had a little chat beforehand and said, well, if he thinks a long time about knight f6, which he might, then we just throw in a3 and let him think a bit more. You know, I think that's possible. Yeah, indeed, the Ding playing the time gambit. But this is quite worrying somehow. Yeah, I mean, move 5 already, and there's plenty of complexity to come, right? And Ding's already thinking. This is, yeah, yeah. Ding's got to come up with something here. I think A5 is, but he doesn't have a bad position, right? His position's perfectly fine. So he's just got to come up with something that doesn't, you know, because what I'm really worried about is if you play something like knight c6, I mean, it's just a weird position, right? So the development puzzles are only just beginning. Whereas I do feel like a3, a5 is kind of provoking a crisis quickly, which, in view of the time situation, is maybe a good idea. And it's also a very decent move as well, you know. So I would say this would be the move to do somehow. But this is quite intriguing somehow. Yeah, in the 1800s, bishop g4 would come in quickly. They always played bishop g4. Never seemed to mind giving up their bishops somehow, which is really weird somehow, yeah, because I mean, they're all good attacking players. You would have thought they would have kept their bishops somehow, but let's have a look. Well, this is a shorter stream this time. I'm really only doing a couple of hours, but it could end up being we only see a couple of moves. That would be incredible, right? So looking at the hierarchs database, after a5, queen a, well, b takes c5 has been played, but queen a4 check gets interesting, which, to be honest, I think this is what we'll see from Gukesh. Then bishop d7, exclamation mark, b5, exclamation mark. And queen c7 played in 2 games there. The idea is takes, knight d4, queen e5. And yeah, yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is whether, you know, would you have some preparation that makes this possible, followed by queen c2 and bishop b2? I mean, that would be real. That would be real boss level somehow. You know, it's not impossible. Yeah, he has really spent an hour by move 5. It's how would this work? This would be really great preparation. I mean, I guess you play bishop f5, right? I guess you can escape like this. It's we're threatening bishop takes b2. If queen b3, I've always got this a4 move, you know, to annoy you. That probably will turn out all right. Yeah, c5, I can take on b1. Bishop b2, maybe bishop c5, something like this. The only other thing you could do is just to play d3 here. Oh, this would be incredible, of course. This is quite dangerous, you know. I mean, this move is quite good. The idea is queen c2, knight c5. I go bishop d3 here. Bishop d3, queen b2. But I could just play the move b6 here and just keep you pinned. Well, I don't know. That's who knows. Maybe these things might work. But queen c7 was played. D3, e5. I mean, black's fine, right? Black's completely fine here. Yeah, yeah. Well, thing is, I think if he plays knight c6, then Gukesh is obviously prepared, and it's going to be, but he's going to have a position with a weird knight on a5. I really think that a5 is a much better choice. it's not letting the position get out of control at all. I think he has to do this. Or, I mean, the only other thing I could think of for white would be to play e takes d4 here, with the idea of takes. But I would guess that black would just be fine here, right? I mean, this is not too complicated. So, yeah, I mean, so what other ideas have we got? What else is Leela saying? Yeah, d takes c3 is possible. But yeah, again, d takes c3. I mean, this is completely possible. You're not winning a pawn, but yeah, but it's just a weird position, right? I mean, so if you don't know it and you suspect that your opponent knows it, I wouldn't recommend going into that one. Bishop g4 is possible, but that's just a nice easy edge for white, right? I mean, you've got the two bishops, and black hasn't even got any sort of clamp on the queen side. So yeah, you're just giving away an advantage there, really. E6 is possible, right? This is not so stupid, e6. This could also be a vaguely sensible move to play, with the idea of, obviously b takes c5, knight c6 keeps this together. These sort of positions are quite well known, that this is all right. But okay, yeah, that's possible. E takes d4, c takes d4, and just play a Benoni where you've got a pawn on e6. This is sort of known there. This is kind of known, but again, it's quite a complex position, right? G6 is not terrible, no. It's just I'm a bit worried by like a bishop b2, bishop g7, bc, and I'm wondering whether I'm ever really gonna get my pawn back somehow. E6 is bad. I'm not sure E6 is bad, really. I mean, it's played quite a bit. I've played these lines quite a lot. I'm just trying to think how my lines always went. Because I had quite a few games with these reverse structures like this. But I think I've had a number of games like this: e3, c5, takes. No, I'm trying to remember. d3, knight c6. Oh no, that's right. This is how it. So I had a lot of games. Oh, from Ding's side. You want to see the game from Ding's side? Can I flip? I'm not allowed to flip that one. I can flip this one, can't I? Somehow. How do I flip this board? I'm not sure how to flip the live chess board. If somebody knows, then do let me know. But I don't actually know how to do. Oh, F short key. Okay, there we are. All right. So there we are. We'll see it from Ding's side. Yeah, Morrow played it on move 3. Actually, that's quite decent. Yeah, what I've just the lines that I've played a lot of are G3, knight F6, bishop G2, C5 castles, and then E6, and then you go C4, D4, E3. I've had this line a lot. So just to say that E6 is not so bad necessarily, and yeah, you get. I've had this line 4 or 5 times against human players, and I've also seen played a lot of games against Stockfish as black, not with good results. Against Hierarchs as well, actually, with black. But yeah. So it's quite e6 in this position is not such a bad move, but yeah, not sure really. It's a bit of a tame move, really. But this is incredible. An hour. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, Bronstein was well known for even thinking for an hour on move 1. So he might have done that during his World Championship matches with Botvinnik. Nothing comes to mind recently, somehow, yeah. But I think that Ding must be panicking a bit now. He must be. He must be a bit paralyzed as to what he's going to play. Whoa, that is a... Oh, bishop g4. Okay. Bishop g4 is a bit of a cop-out, I think. Yeah, bishop g4 is a bit of a cop-out. Yeah, that's a really... It's not bad, it's not terrible, but it's just... You're really saying, okay, I believe all your preparation, so I'm just going to avoid... I'm just going to give you the bishop pair. This is what Leela's saying. h3 played quickly. I think the one thing that you can say, though, is that probably Gukesh won't have any specific preparation now, yeah? So I can't believe you would have looked at that. I think you would have... Oh, I don't think black's got a real advantage after knight c6. I think these positions after b5, knight a5 were not really... yeah, they were very unclear to me, to be honest. No, bishop g4 has been... Oh, good lord. Where am I? Bishop g4 has been played before. Let me just get... Oh, no. Hierarch's book. I've lost the Hierarch's book there. Oh, maybe... Is it a novelty then, maybe? Maybe it is. a3, bishop g4. Any help from... Oh, no. It looks like a novelty, indeed. Looks like a novelty, but it's not a very interesting one somehow. Oh, you're not going to say... Ding's not going to think again, is he? If Ding thinks again, then I don't know. Then I'm really worried somehow. Yeah. I mean, you can't not have expected h3, right? So I mean, you have to. But I can't believe that Gukesh is prepared now, particularly. I mean, I'm sure that if you were looking at it, you'd just say, yeah, okay, you know, h3, and then takes, and I've got the two bishops, and okay, we'll play it from there, right? Let's move on to something more likely. I mean, there's still... It's not that great for white. It's just a small. But I think, you know, you're happy, right? You've got the two bishops. You've got the two bishops. Move 7. You've got a time advantage. That's probably what you know. Surely Ding's not going to play bishop h5. I mean, it's possible, right? It's not completely crazy. It's very unusual to put the bishop on g6 here, but it's not completely crazy. But I mean, it's really unusual to put the bishop on g6, and you know... Oh dear me, come on, Ding. Yeah, I don't think Gukesh will have preparation in his head. I mean, somebody might have looked, but I don't even think the seconds would have looked at this somehow. Yeah, you're right, Achim. I don't think Gukesh would have bothered looking at this line in any depth there. I mean, it's really something where you just say bishop f3, queen f3. Okay, I've got the two bishops, maybe a little lead in time. I'll settle for that. That's fine. From you know, modern white openings, this is good. But this is horrific from Ding. Oh. I hope he's not having a meltdown somehow, you know, because this feels like it somehow. Yeah, I mean, Matthew, I'm tending to my whole club g4 would be taken. Yes, indeed, those were the days. But yeah, to be honest, Matthew, I'm thinking the same, right? I mean, I'm really thinking this is a massive chance for Gukesh. He's just got a nice position out of the opening and an absolutely stratospheric time advantage. Yeah, I mean, actually, the problem, Juan, is that it doesn't make any sense at all what Ding has done, right? I mean, you know, on move 2, you play c4, and you've got the world of solid possibilities that you really should have prepared there. I mean, 3 moves at the very least that are really, really solid. And then you've also got the move that's objectively the best. And then b4 is a main move, right? And well, you could play, there's all sorts of aggressive possibilities, but I can imagine that you say, well, I'm not really 100% prepared for them, so I'll just play my stuff, right? And then e3 can't be a surprise. That's just the main move in the position. But yeah, I mean, then you've made, I mean, on move 2 already, you've made that choice. I am going to fight, and I'm going to take the game to black. So yeah, then to spend an hour and just end up giving the bishop pair, and just being a little bit worse somehow is really. I think Gukesh was prepared for everything, all the sharp stuff. I'm sure, or at least he had a line. I don't imagine he would have been expecting g5, to be honest. So um, there will be some lines he would have expected more and less, but he will have had a line somehow against all of that. It's only 0.1, so I mean, we're not. It's not dramatic or anything. I mean, but it's just, yeah. It's a bit cheerless for Ding, really. But yeah, I mean, the one, okay, he's played Queen C7 fast. That's good, at least. The one thing you can say for this plan of Ding's is that he's going to have, he should have something fairly simple in principle to do, which is E5, E5, and then A5, hitting the pawn. So that's the one good thing that that Ding has got out of all this. Right. Is that he's got a simple plan. He's going to put the pawn on e5, and he's going to play a5 and try and force this b pawn to move on, and then he'll have the c5 square. But okay, that's the good thing about it, and of course, objectively, he's not so much worse. But yeah, to spend an hour on this is pretty bad. But I think that Gukesh will now be out of prep. That's what I expect. So what have we got here for white? I mean, to be honest, g4 is the move that really occurs to you, right? And not even in a completely stupid way. Because you've lost control of the light squares, so attacking on the light squares is quite typical. But of course, it's quite sharp, and normally Gukesh is being quite good in these games. But I mean, Leela's line looks a little bit bananas, right? A5, bishop g2, not playing g5 in this position, which is interesting. I mean, you could go queen e5 check here, and just this is quite interesting because you're attacking this one. If bishop e2, you could conceivably throw in d3. Because queen b3, queen a1 is probably quite good for black. The only question is being whether you could play a move like knight c3, for example, and after takes, take on here, which could be quite that could be a hell of a position. Yeah, interesting. So after g5, I mean, there's also king d1, which is quite interesting, right? I mean, there's also that problem there. And if knight e4, yeah, maybe you even go bishop d3 there, and then take on here after. So I don't think queen e5 can be the move. So what's he going to do then? Knight d7, is that the idea? Maybe it's okay. Maybe it hasn't achieved that much. I was sort of thinking that this was a good to have kicked the knight away, but presumably in something like this, the knight will come to c5 later. So this might not be so so amazing. Feels like a good move somehow. I mean, it's certainly quite nice against sort of plans like e5, because that that you just sort of get more control on the light squares and chase the knight away. But maybe it's not so fantastic. Um, yeah, I mean, black's definitely going to be looking for a5. So what was Leela looking at? Leela's looking at this line, c5, a5, bishop b5. Okay, playing it like this. Quite interesting. Although, yeah, I mean, you've got to say there's a danger with this line that somehow things are going to get. It's not obvious line for white. You know, to play the bishop to this square, and it's just looking at these two pawns somehow. But Leela's doing all sorts of tricks here. Queen g3 actually threatens bishop c6, and bishop takes d4. So knight h5, queen b3, castles, rook e1, knight f4, bishop f1. Yeah, and then you're going to bring the knight in. Yeah, I mean, this is quite a nice line for white. Not that much better, but quite a nice line. The other line that Leela's looking at, the second line, but then it thinks the black's a bit better again, is a5 takes knight c6, knight d2 e6, bishop b2. This is not so great somehow. So yeah, that line's a bit strange. I mean, bishop b2 would be a very reasonable line, and then just develop normally somehow. But Leela really likes the plan of c5, which I can understand, to be honest. I mean, you know, normally you just don't get the opportunity to do this. So c5 with the bishop can come out to b5 or c4 does feel like quite a decent idea. I mean, I think as white, I'd be thinking of g4, and c5 would also occur to me. Not the Leela line in particular, but that would definitely occur to me as something that I might want to do in this position. Yeah, I mean, it feels. Oh, that's a bit tame from Gukesh. That's a little bit tame, maybe. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, g5 knight fd7, Tony. That was the best one. That's interesting. I'm kind of wondering somehow. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering. I have the feeling. Oh, right. Wow. Wow. Yeah, this is strange somehow. This is strange. Hey, USA. This is strange. I mean, you know, so yeah, I mean, interesting. I mean, don't want to. So I mean, you know, Ding spent a lot of time on here, and Gukesh played very, very fast. I mean, it might mean that this is his preparation, right? That he's just saying he just knows that these are structures that he wants to play. That's possible. That's possible. But I find it a bit hard to believe, really. You know, I do find it a bit hard to believe that this is the most attractive thing that you can think of in this position. You know, I would say really that somehow I think Gukesh has not felt the critical moment here somehow. That you know, Ding has spent you know, more than an hour on this, and you know, I think part of it has been spent panicking, but you know, you can give Ding the benefit of the doubt. We can also say that part of it has been spent, you know, looking at some stuff. So this was kind of a critical moment where you're really gonna, you know, um, the likelihood is that whatever you play, Ding will have something prepared. You know, so maybe this is a good time to think about it. And to be honest, I mean, a move like g4 is really tempting. Yeah, so I definitely, you know, you definitely be looking at that to play it. And yeah, a move like bishop b2 is also not stupid. And if you see it, and why wouldn't you? A move like c5, you know, would also be really interesting somehow, that you think, oh, I can't normally do this. Let's see whether I can exploit this opportunity to do that. But it feels like he's tried to play quickly, expecting that Ding is going to play slowly again. But I have the bad feeling, that he's fallen into a trap that you often fall into, by the way, with yeah, Tony, you might be right. You might be right. I have a feeling this is a trap that you can easily fall into against players who spend a lot of time, and I've done it myself. So that's it's not a big criticism or anything. It's just something that can happen. Is that you feel like you need to keep on playing quickly. Only what's actually happened is that the player who's thought a lot has actually come up with some things, and most of those things are against the obvious moves that you play. So if you just play obvious moves, you're just going straight into the lines that the players as the player has seen. And what you end up doing, he ends up playing his next few moves quickly, and you end up getting more and more dissatisfied with what you've done, and you end up spending more time. And in the end, yeah, I don't know. A little bit, but okay. Yeah, G3 is a natural move in this position. G4 would I also like, but Leela's seeing this more as a weakening, I think, rather than and of course, yeah, I mean, your knights are beautiful, right? Your other knight's gone to D7, so your knight can go to D7. It doesn't affect anything at all. So I would guess that G3, E5, bishop G2, knight C5. Okay, castles, bishop D6. Yeah, I mean, this is fine, right? This is fine for white. It's not, but it's not. I mean, to be honest, I'm a bit surprised by the engine assessment. I probably tend to think that the two bishops and the light squares do give white still something. That would be my feeling. But black's very solid and entrenched. I mean, black can play a lot of quick moves here, So yeah, I don't. This was not the most. This was not the most. So many experts in chat. Yeah, that's right. No, it's true. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, obviously, but it's just I do think that if you're playing a player and he's just spent an hour and 10 minutes on this, then yeah, I think it wouldn't be stupid to spend 20-25 minutes of your own just working out whether there's, because it's not supernatural, right, what he's done. He's the knight on B8 isn't developed, the light squares are weakened. You could have a sense, you could have a smell that there's something in these positions for white, that white could do something more than just go for a standard setup, you know. I think. I don't think a good thing strategy was to make Gukesh play too fast. That's a good one. But I don't think it's obviously, yeah, you shouldn't criticize always, and we've got engine evaluations, blah blah blah. But I don't think you should. I don't think you should. I think you really can say here that there's a feeling here that there's a kind of a critical moment here, because the development isn't completed, the plans haven't landed yet. There's stuff, stuff like G4 would be the first thing that occurs to me. It's maybe not very good, but you sort of think, oh, I could really do this somehow. There is the feeling very much that there's a critical moment at hand here. And and if you're sort of saying, well, after D3, A5, I'll go B5, well, you know what black's going to do, right? I mean, black's just going to do this automatically. Now, either you've got some big, deep knowledge about these structures, right? So you say, yeah, this is always good for white. These sort of resulting positions that we're seeing here, I know that these are always good for white. There's just this simple plan that you always do, and white is better. That is Mr. Beads. You're too modest. He's playing an extended semi-Slav here, virtually. So yeah, but I don't think that's true. I mean, as I said, I would tend to think that white's just a tiny bit better here, Just the light square bishop feels more powerful somehow. But actually making something of it, and in general, there black does have the possibility later of playing f5. If black gets the pawn to f5, then probably he's going to end up being better, because white doesn't really have a good way of challenging it, really. So yeah, put it this way: I've lost these positions with white against Leela and Stockfish. Just get outplayed. Whereas with black, it's easier to hold them somehow. Not that I would hold them, but it's easier to hold them because you're much more entrenched on your squares here. But I think that the shame is for Gukesh is that now after these quick moves, Ding's got about 7 or 8 moves that he can just play quickly automatically without needing very much thought at all. Yeah, there's loads you can do in all this. There is so much that you can do. Oh, thank you, Max. I mean, d4, c4 is incredibly rich. e4 is sharper. But the nice thing about d4, c4, knight f3 is that no, Ding isn't a shadow of his former self. He's been playing quite well, really. I mean, chess is a draw, but I mean, they're not proving that, I don't think, AT. It's but I think, to be honest, we are seeing that both players, I think, are quite tired. I think that Ding, was having a bit of a difficulty making a choice, and I think that Gukesh, I think it's nerves, to be honest. Now, I think it's nerves rushing past a critical decision. Could be Tony. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure whether. I mean, I thought maybe, after he played d3, a5, but he played b5. I thought maybe, does he have? Is there something? Has he got a clever idea or something? A clever idea like a bishop f4 at some stage or something. Just or sacking the pawn, and he's just he's got a clever idea somehow. But yeah, to whip out those moves and now to start thinking. It's bad. Oh yeah, queen e5 check is nasty. Yeah, it's in any case you wouldn't really want to be swapping off that dark square bishop right away. It's but queen e5 check is a really nasty one. It's a bit mystifying. It's a bit mystifying. I think Gukesh will probably get criticized quite a lot for that. Because yeah, I mean he's aimed for a basic positional structure now, and now he's thinking for another. I mean, it could be. It could be that that you just that he just thinks that these structures are a bit better for white in general, and so there was no point thinking about it, and he's just working out whether he plays g4 or g3 or something. But yeah, and yeah, I do have to say I would. I think he's maybe thinking about it. Yeah. He's maybe, well, I mean, even just knight c5, right? I mean, that's I was talking about playing g4 in this position, and the idea was that, you do it before the knights get properly developed, so the knight's blocking the other one in a bit. But now, I mean, g4, you just put the knight on c5, right? And then you're just getting out here. I mean, I think that Gukesh might be thinking about it, but I'm starting to get worried if he does do it that. I mean, well, no, I think it's too tactically risky. Yeah, this is just disaster somehow. Just take on here afterwards and take on here. So I don't think he can be seriously thinking of doing that. But yeah, no. Well, no, I mean we Ding before the match, we all thought he was a shadow of his former self. He's been ill, simply. It's. I was talking to somebody who'd seen him actually live, and talking to him before the match, and he said, "Yeah, but he doesn't look right. He really does not. He really looks like he's physically suffering at the board. So, you know, was really thinking, oh well, if you've seen him, then presumably you really have that feeling. But AT, I mean, to be honest, he's played pretty well. I mean, the one thing that he's missing is, I think, self-confidence, which is always a bit of his problem anyway. It's for a 2800 for a player of such immense skill, and he really is. You look at his best games, you really would think that he's maybe one of the top players of all time, right? I mean, he's such a strong player. But his confidence has always been really up and down. Modest guy somehow, yeah, and struggles with that, and always very open about it as well. It's quite incredible. But he hasn't really got that confidence to make the most of the positions that he's been getting. But once he's been forced to play, when he's being attacked, he's having to defend. Yeah, Christ, I mean, he's an absolute lunatic, this guy. He's really playing well. So yeah, he's not at his best, but he's not a shadow of his former self. I think he's maybe at like 85-90% of himself, which is good enough to keep at bay. But that extra 10%, you need a lot of energy to play for a win as white. To go out there, reach for the game, bring it towards you, that takes a lot. Yeah, he doesn't have that energy. I think that energy is not there, but the rest is there. The basic play is there, I think, and that's great. That's surprising, and it's great to see as well there. I think that he does know. Yeah, no, I think it's true, Max. But I think that that Ding also knows that that I think if he lost the game, that would be it somehow. Yeah, I don't think he has that energy to pull it all back. But as long as he keeps the energy consumption that he needs to some reasonable level, he can play extremely well still. Ding doesn't look bad today. Great. Yeah, no good. Do I think Ding will continue defending? I don't know. I mean, I think it's clearer. These World Championship matches, they take a lot out of Ding. I mean, he got ill after the Yan game, right? And I mean, it might be nothing related, but it might also be the strain of it somehow. Yeah. Um, I You look at the Chinese players as well, and they tend to retire early. I mentioned Hao Yifan there, who's not really playing much anymore after she was 2650 women's world champion, promising career ahead, but just stopped somehow. Yeah. And Si Yun, women's world champion, stopped very early. And you do see a lot of these Chinese players somehow disappearing somehow. So I think I do think that I would expect Ding to retire at some stage, and not defend his world championship. But maybe if he hadn't got ill, then he might have carried on for longer. But yeah, I think I think that that probably he'll say that enough's enough, and that he'll kill himself if he plays another one somehow. No, Ding's really nice. Gukesh is really nice as well. He's a really nice guy. Haven't spoken to Ding ever. Spoken to Gukesh, and yeah, really nice guy. They're both really nice. I mean, I've got no particular feeling about who I want to win somehow. The one thing I was desperate not to happen was that Ding wasn't going to play somewhere near his best. That it wasn't going to be a terrible experience watching him. And you sort of think, oh my goodness, this is all yeah, it's not fair on him really, but that hasn't happened. Yeah, even Magnus didn't want to play World Championship matches anymore. The whole grind of preparation, the difficulty in achieving advantages, all of that. Yeah, Magnus got fed up with it, and he's in perfect health and still beating up people in other things. But yeah, it's just it's a hard discipline somehow. And I think there's so many other ways you can have fun in chess, right? I mean, you can do content and blitz and rapid and all of that. So yeah, when you've done lots of world championships, why would you do any more somehow at some stage? Yeah, that's favorite reversed opening. These I quite like. These modern Benonis. I like these reversed openings for white. Ooh. I have the feeling that both players are really feeling the tension and the tiredness. I think. I think I think that's definitely true now. I think you're starting to see that in the games, that they're running out of steam, both of them, I think. Oh, good Lord, that's interesting, Chris. That's really interesting. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know a number of uh yeah, Chinese pianists, violinists and all that, and they are absolutely amazing when they're really young, right? It's just unbelievable, simply. Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's just too many good people. That's the thing, right? There's too many good players. It's but yes, it's certainly. Yeah, I think there's a society thing in there somehow. It's but yeah, I mean, look at me, right? I mean, I stopped chess when I was 30, when I was 24 somehow. Yeah, so I can't really criticize anyone for doing the same somehow. And yeah, Mr. Beast, I think it probably is true that the burnout is quite big. Big expectations, so much competition. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you sort of wonder a little bit whether, whether well, I mean, it must be a risk in India as well, right? I mean, there's a lot of expectation, a lot of huge competition. I mean, I read sometime about the Chinese table tennis system. Like, there's only a couple of guys who can go to the championships or something, right? They're not allowed to stack it with 20 people. So, like, virtually every week it's like some massive competition between, probably the top 20 in the world, fighting for their one places. And it can just, they're so battle hardened, these guys, for table tennis, that yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, difficult to know. I know so little about China. It's just a big mystery somehow to me. And yeah, there must be some fascinating stuff to understand about that. It's but yeah, the table tennis players remain active for a very long time. That's definitely true. It's but but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it happens with India, because yeah, there again, there's obviously a lot of yeah. Uh, wow, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, parents very ambitious for their children. And of course, yeah, I mean, if you have a look at the current crop of English juniors, I mean, they're all they have Chinese or Indian roots. It's not all of them, but a very large number of them. And so. Yeah, it's obviously that's also proving an inspiring example. And of course, yeah, the huge probably all their relatives at home for Indian parents are talking about chess, talking about all the amazing things. So yeah, obviously their kids are going to be say, oh, can I do that too? And yeah, yeah. It's difficult to know, right? I mean, if your kid's, keen on something, if you can do, or if you can, if there's something that you can play as a game together and that it's fun and all that, then chess isn't any more stupid than anything else, right? It's oh dear, USA. It's not too stupid, right? You can have fun with chess as well, and but yeah, I mean, serious training. Yeah, I mean, the 4 or 5 year olds who could concentrate at that time and on chess would not be huge. And yeah, the ones that would enjoy it would be an even smaller subset. So yeah, it's the exceptions really at that age. I mean, I started at 7, and yeah, parents always think their kid is talented. That's right. I mean, I started at 7, and yeah, I just saw a chess set in a toy shop and got very somehow just yeah, spoke to me, and I just desperately wanted to do it. And yeah, there was a chess club at school, and but the teacher uh, the teacher sort of said, "Oh no, I don't think he's way too young to play somehow because he won't be able to keep his concentration. He's only 7." And yeah, my mum said, "Oh, no, please, he's so keen, he's so amazingly, somehow I don't know why, but it's just so important to him. Could you do it?" And the teacher said, "Okay, well, we'll give it one go." And yeah, I mean, basically, I was just so wild on it. Nobody knows why. That yeah, of course, I concentrated, and yeah, I was allowed to keep on going. But yeah, that is also very much the English approach, yeah, that very much of a always been a some worry about children getting excited about stuff too early, and wanting children to relax. Dutch in Holland as well, where I've lived, that's a very big you know the idea that children should play. um yeah, software engineers in India, okay, yeah, yeah. Although I mean that market must be getting saturated as well, right? I mean, just looking at from my own company, we're tending to move more away from India nowadays, and and go to Eastern European countries. Spain, funnily enough, not Eastern European, has become quite a big new market as well. Um, but Yeah, play is how children learn. Yeah, I mean it's tricky, right? Because I mean children, but it's all about knowing your child and judging whether they're interested or not. You know, it's we need more parents playing. Yeah, that's absolutely true, Chris. Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely true. There is a big gap there somehow. That people stop playing, and then it's only their kids or yeah, players when they retire who start up. And would be great to have more of yeah, it's and obviously more female players as well, is really required as well. But I think having more players in their 30s and 40s at chess clubs, certainly, that would be really positive. My goodness me, Gukesh has thought for 30. Oh, dear me. Well, this stream, we are not going to see many moves, are we? I've got a terrible feeling of a disaster brewing, but for both players somehow, yeah. But maybe more for Gukesh than for Ding somehow. Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think online has it's brought a lot of people to chess, but it's also keeping a lot of people away from over the board chess. Oh wow, that was good. That was cool, Max. But I mean, I understand it, right? Because I mean, chess tournaments are just not, unless you're obsessed. Um, unless you're obsessed with chess, I think chess tournaments just are not very attractive, mostly, to play. It's um, and when I was professional, didn't think about it twice. When I was a kid and gloriously keen, didn't think both players should resign. I was kind of thinking it's the way my thoughts are going too. But I didn't notice it at all. But I stopped playing in 2020 just because of the pandemic, and somehow that took me out of the rhythm of playing, and I didn't start again. But yeah, I just went to one tournament, and I looked at it and I thought, oh my goodness, would I really want to spend all, some holiday and my weekend there somehow, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. I think somebody would need to come up with a format and an idea for making nice chess tournaments for people. It's somehow it's oh right. I do have to say that, yeah, uh, yeah, Natasha and I, we organised, we got into shogi because of AlphaZero, which also played shogi and Go as well as chess, and we organised some tournaments in for shogi, That was really nice somehow. Thing is, shogi people have a different expectation about tournaments. There are very few of them, so prizes and all that, they're not really competitive for them. Even claiming that you won on time is sort of frowned upon. So it's a different sort of approach somehow. But sort of felt that those sort of friendly tournaments, that would be such a lovely thing to have somehow. But chess players are so competitive, really hard to do it. Maastricht. Oh, not bad. Maastricht is nice. Yeah. Tennis is much better, yeah, for as a profession, I think. Although you do have to invest enormous amounts as a player, right, in coaching and equipment, and that's really hard to do in your own. Whereas chess is kind of possible. The worst parts of chess events, the players. Yeah, no, that is that is true. And the chess scene is lovely, but it's yeah, yeah, yeah. But also not lovely. It's hard to describe somehow. When you're in it, you don't notice so much, and you just see all the positive things. You go outside and come back in, and you suddenly see all the stuff that makes you a bit unhappy as well. So but I think if somebody could find the formula for making friendly tournaments where I think the playing conditions are the most important, and everyone agrees not to play for prizes or particularly for rating points, then you could have a gorgeous formula that might actually appeal to a lot of people, right? But yeah, you'd need to find the right formula and the right funding for that. But um, sort of chess punks, but in real life. I guess you all know the chess punks community was on Twitter. It's mostly on Blue Sky now, but that's quite nice somehow. Yeah, I mean it's quite encouraging and quite good somehow. You'd like to have something like that in real life as well, I think, because the way that chess tournaments are, just for a normal person, I just don't think they're attractive enough somehow. New Zealand is like that. Okay, more laid back. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, the competitive tournaments have to be there, right? I mean, if kids are keen and they want to become great, then that's fantastic. But yeah, I think, yeah, I think that's that should be a smaller group than White is winning. White is oh yeah, Holland has some nice tournaments there, I have to say. They have some nice tournaments. I mean, they're both competitive and all that, but they're always beautifully organized as well. They are actually very nice. There are some very nice weekend tournaments. I mean, I follow Kevin Winter on Facebook, just an English amateur who's retired and is now playing chess virtually every week. But he's going to some nice tournaments actually and having a very nice time. But he's got completely the right attitude somehow. Very laid back, etc. So senior tournaments, but they've got it should have been the senior tournaments, right? But they've got competitive again, simply. Um, people are finding it important, and yeah, I mean, it's just the same, basically. I was always a bit skeptical about senior tournaments somehow, because you know the thing is, you can say, oh, well, you're all older, so you're less competitive, but it's not true. I mean, normally what it means is if you've known somebody for a long time, you've had a very long time to build up your grievances against him, especially if he's a colleague, right? Not a friend, but a professional colleague. So, it's I think that hasn't worked so well from that point of view, the senior tournaments. I think I don't think seniors are any less competitive than and it's got quite serious. I mean, for England relies on senior tournaments, I think, for receiving funding from the government. So, yeah, if we don't not successful at it, then I think that funding gets affected, as far as I've understood. So, yeah, it's gone a bit off somehow. Oh, you're in Auckland, Max. Wow. Oh, thanks very much, AT. It's they were great to analyze, and to be honest, recent engine games, they've only got better, right? But AlphaZero was really the start of something. Let's have a look here. Knight BD7. Gukesh is, oh dear me. Well, this is going to be a really weird stream. I mean, people are going to be looking at it. I'm going to end in about half an hour, and I will virtually have had no moves at all, right? My goodness. I mean, there's nothing. I think Gukesh is not liking his position anymore. I would have said the chance of a draw here are really high, to be honest. Ah, okay. Sorry, Chris. Oh, that's good. That's good to know. I was a little bit DCMS grants about broadening chess appeal. Okay, okay. That's good to know, Chris. I stand corrected. I was a little bit worried about it because it's how it. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's how it came over to me. Obviously, I'm considering. I am actually a senior player now, so I could be involved in that. But um, it's how it sort of came across to me somehow. But I stand corrected. But yeah, I think yeah, I do think there's a real market for friendly tournaments where good conditions and a non-competitive feeling. That there is a gap in the market for those somehow. Maybe English rating, but not FIDE rating or anything like that. People get very upset with FIDE rating. Um, I think Gukesh's head is not in is a bit all over the place, to be honest. That's really my no, I don't think so. No, if I play, I'm gonna play normally again. That's yeah, I mean OTB tournaments can be pretty stressy. That's true. Yeah, no, Miss Beats, you need to find a place like that, really, and but it needs to be, yeah, I think it really needs to be the way forward, right? That's how chess will somehow keep its popularity, It's no, I mean, honestly, I was really worried about Ding because he thought for an hour and 10 minutes and came up with a not particularly impressive idea, really, in all fairness. But what Gukesh did was really, yeah. Well, you're looking at the time spending and you say, oh my goodness, he really lost his head somehow. Because this was a critical moment where um, Black has a structure, right? It's not an exciting one, but he has an idea. We're going to play the pawn to e5. We'll do the typical undermining a5 and a Benoni structure, and then we're going to put a knight onto c5. That's So, but this is a moment where nothing is complete, right? Everything's in the air. The knight isn't developed. The pawn's not under pressure. So this is a clear moment of opportunity, and I think every reasonably strong player would feel it normally. This is a moment of opportunity. I shouldn't just blitz out quickly. I can do a few things. Then G4 was the thing that's really occurring to me, thinking, could we maybe exploit these light squares? And if you think a little bit longer, then C5, a move you always want to play in these positions. If you get you don't normally get the opportunity to do it. That's another one that you'd be looking at, right? And yeah, it might not be obvious to you why you want to do stuff, but you'll start thinking. And so you would have thought, really, well, Ding's invested an hour and 10 minutes. I can spend 20 minutes on this position simply, and work something out, and okay, if I see nothing better, I can always do something like this when I should be all right, although it's not very exciting, but I should be able to find something here. And Gukesh just missed that moment completely. I feel I'm just I could be wrong there. Always just my opinion, but he missed that moment completely. Trying to keep the time, he thought, well, I'll play my next moves quickly, and Ding will think. But Ding's not going to think. He's worked out this plan, and he's got an idea where he can play the next 8 moves instantly somehow. Yeah, and now Ding has played his next couple of moves instantly, which of course he would. Very obvious moves, and now Gukesh is thinking for like 40 minutes, and he's giving back all the time back that he's won. He's not going to be ahead on time soon. So yeah, but I think, I would say that I think this shows that both players are really suffering. I mean, I think we saw it with Ding. Ding doesn't feel he's got the energy to push with White, and I think that Gukesh wants to, but I don't think he's got the energy either now. I think he's struggling like anything to keep himself together. I think both players are, sort of like end of a boxing match, just holding each other and trying to get to the end line. So yeah, but I think what Gukesh has got to do now, he's got to just get himself together and just get the draw here. I think that's very important now, because he could end up not getting the draw in this position if he's not careful. Really worried about Gukesh in this position now. I mean, if he's not careful and if Ding gets ambitious, then, I mean, really, can be quite a strong plan for Black to get in f5, and then you just get a model Benoni, basically. So, oh my goodness me. Such an impulsive moment from Gukesh there to play quickly. But I think that's all right, Tony. Thanks very much for this fabulous, if non-eventful. I'm so sorry, Tony. Yeah, it's just incredible. I'm just going to have about 10, 11 moves on the in 2.25 hours of watching somehow. So yeah, I mean, Black can play some e4 breaks if he wants. It's completely possible. I mean, yeah. No, I think Gukesh. I don't think Gukesh really has a good feeling for how to do nothing. It's just not his style. Ding not really either, but he's held himself in. He's keeping himself in check. He's able, every time he wants to do something exciting, he's able to hold himself in and not do it. And I think he's doing that somehow. This is fitting it better. But oh dear, just going to blow my nose. To excuse me. This could be a really critical game. I don't know how bad Ding is feeling. I mean, he won't have been feeling great to spend that long, on this. Practice does well. Yeah, practice. It's a tough one, really. Practice can make you calmer in those situations, but it can also teach you that you always lose them. So it can make you depressed as well. Um, I think, to be honest, I think, I often talk about it, but life experience is the key, really. And some players seem to be born with it, and other players need to develop it. But, the understanding that you will do your best, and that if it doesn't work out, that's life, and there will be other opportunities. Not fatalistic, but something of that attitude you need to have to be able to play critical games well. And what you want to, you've also got to understand that what you want to do is you want to play the critical games like yourself. You don't want to try and play like someone else, and not be true to yourself. You want to be true to yourself and say, well, if I lost, at least I played like me. I did what I do, and that's it. The worst thing in the world is to look back on the game and say, I don't know what I was doing. I just didn't play like myself at all. And yeah, you have that. You do have that. That nose blow was more exciting than this match. Oh dear. No, this one. I can tell you, this is going to be a dramatic game. I think. I have the feeling that all sorts of blunders are going to take part in this game. I think that Ding's not in great shape. So which I think you see from his time usage, which was way disproportionate to the position. But I think the Gukesh is collapsing as well, I think, a bit, and which I think you see with his time usage and this rapid move. I think his nerves are really just fried somehow. I've had it there. I've had that. I've had that. Try to play chess like that. It's appalling. You just vary wildly between decisions that you take too quickly and decisions that you take too slowly. It's absolutely appalling. It's horrific when that happens to you. I had to take a break for one time during my professional career for hey, thank you, USA. Wow. Think I'm having more fun than than the players, certainly. Yeah. I had to take a break for a few months one time when I was professional. I just ran out of nerves somehow. I couldn't cope. The one tournament I withdrew from one round before the end, I just totally fried. I couldn't take it anymore. Thought I was going to thought I was just going to go totally bananas. So and I'm not so tense somehow. I'm not the most relaxed of people, but I'm not the most tense either. But it just got too much for me. So yeah, I played too much. Basically, that was the thing. Had some very good results, played too much, and then just all of a sudden, without warning, exploded. 2 games into the tournament, playing well, and then just bang. I lost control of my time handling completely. Couldn't think of a move. Couldn't recover. Terrible. Yay! Oh, thank you, USA. Let me spotlight you there. So yay! Thank you so much. But now Gukesh is really incredible, but I mean, this is such a new experience for him, right? I don't think he's never played a match before, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, playing a match for the World Championship. So I think that maybe it's the hearts that you captured. I think yeah, but you've got to look after yourself somehow. It's very important to do that. But I think that probably Gukesh has underestimated or doesn't know, and now is finding out that yeah, that even his incredible energy sort of comes to an end at some stage, and I think this is what's happening here. The minds you have enlightened. It's oh, this is tough to watch, I have to say. I hope I'm over extrapolating and over you know overestimating the problems that both players are having, but it really does feel like it. It has to be said. Really feels like both players are just completely at the end of their strength somehow. 12 o'clock, move 11. Yeah, yeah. No, it's this is awful, right? I mean, I vividly that mean believe you took my lunch money again. Oh, sorry, USA. Sorry, USA. Oh dear. It's no, that's right. Yeah, learning opportunity is a good one. Um, but as a professional, learning opportunity comes at the cost of tens, 20 elo points. That's horrific somehow. I'm watching live. Yeah. Yeah, this is terrible actually. But I remember it vividly. What happened? Lloyds Bank Masters, 1994, I think, for me. And I just played 2 tournaments in a row in Norway and won one of them. Played well, actually. Played really well, really strongly. And I was on the verge of qualifying myself for the first time for the English Olympiad team in Moscow, and played the Lloyd Banks Masters and started off well. Won my first game, then beat an English GM who I'd always struggled to get good results against. Beat him in great style, and yeah, was on board 1 or 2 for the third round. It's a huge international open, and I played an IM 2450 or something like that, and I was dead. I could not think of anything. I think I was already by move 20. I was down to 5 minutes or something, and I lost terribly, got completely crushed. It's but I completely went, and then the next game I lost. A viewer his book in TCC chat. Oh. And I lost, and then my next game I played 2300 player from India, I think, and I lost that game as well. Again, losing control of my time, and the rest was just a utter torture. Utter torture. I just couldn't get myself together. But I just ran out of nerves, basically, and I just couldn't cope anymore. And it happened so suddenly. I didn't realize at all. And I was young, and one thing I've normally got is incredible energy. You know, even now, still, you know, it's yeah, that's true. Having to win every game just to score okay is a killer. That's what's killing the professionals nowadays. It's so difficult. This is my revenge. So, thank you so much, USA. Really nice. But yeah, it was without warning somehow, and I do have the feeling that both players are really having this now. This is terrible from Gukesh. But of course, he doesn't like his position, right? He doesn't see what he can do anymore, which is overdoing it. But you understand I understand the point. You know, he's just thinking, why on earth? Why did I do this so quickly? Why? Why? What was I thinking of having played D3 so quickly? Yeah. But I think this match now, I think we're past the chess phase now for this match. And I think we're very much into the yeah, staggering to the finish. Thank you so much, USA. I think we're into the staggering to the finish phase of this match now, and it's not going to be pretty, I think. Oh, this is it's almost distressing, to be honest, watching this. I've only got another 10 minutes left on the stream. Oh God. My goodness me. I shudder to think what's going to happen, to be honest. I really don't know what's going to happen. I dare not look at the live chess chat. I was going to. I can't do it. Don't know what people are saying here. I think, to be honest, if right now, if you offered both players the tiebreak, they would take it. Yeah, the low fuel indicator is on, I think, but I think it's hit Gukesh all of a sudden. I think, yeah, I think that's the point, and you know, that's what happened to me. Absolutely, I didn't realize what was happening, and then it hit me all of a sudden, and it was terrible. So Leela thinks black is a bit better. Leela the engines always prefer. I mean, you know, there's just some very normal moves, right? Oh, knight b3, presumably queen b7 is quite good for white. That's slightly surprising, but okay. I would have played knight d2, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, Leela's just saying we just do this, right? And we just play here, and we can take on c5 and take on and go knight e4, and you know, yeah, I mean, this is just even, right? I mean, it's completely equal. I mean, black has a little bit more potential. If black could manage to get an f5, then he could stand a serious chance of being better somehow. But it is unlikely to happen. But yeah, I mean, this should just be equal, and but spending all this time is terrible, terrible. It's going to be g3, bishop g2 should be. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that Ding is better. I mean, Ding is a Ding is a pessimist, right? And he understands that he can fail, and he knows it, and he's come through it before. You know, he's got this incredible capacity to feel terrible negative emotions and yet somehow fight his way through. You know, that's why he became world champion. That was his superpower. That's why he got so strong. It's not because he's such a strong person mentally, but he's somehow able to overcome his weakness somehow. You know, it's incredible. It's a really weird skill. It's a really strange skill, and but it's incredible. Whereas Gukesh, I guess, is going into places now that he's not really used to. You know, and it's going to be it's going to be a new challenge for him. So yeah, maybe thinking about G4, but it doesn't really make much sense, really, to be honest. I mean, you just bring the knight out and G5, knight D7, you go knight E5. I don't know. I don't know whether Gukesh can come up with a concrete line here. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think so. I don't think there is anything concrete. Might be looking to play B6 to sacrifice the pawn, open the light squares, and be able to bring the knight in there. I don't know. That's possible. It's a possible idea. But oh my goodness me. Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, Ding. Yeah, no, I mean, I identify with that struggle too. I mean, I think every player who hasn't been, you know, world championship caliber and who's despaired of their weaknesses, you know, you see Ding with the same weaknesses and yet somehow managing to pull through. I think it's very inspiring what Ding does. You know, it's um, but yeah. But you don't want either player to be really, you know, collapsing or whatever. It's you really don't want that at all. Gukesh on 59 minutes. This is not possible. I root for the older players. Yeah, no, yeah, I've definitely always got a bit of sympathy, but Ding still feels quite young to me somehow. So only just a bit older than you, 80. So no, this is terrible. This is awful. This is really awful. Because there's nothing to be done simply. It's and you do realize that quite quickly that when you played the move d3 and then a5 b5, you chose this structure forever. It's not going to change, right? It's not going to change. Yeah, they're better at hiding it. It's possible. They don't talk about it so openly. Ding doesn't seem to worry about that somehow. He just says it as it is. It's quite amazing, really. I'm wondering whether Gukesh is going to do something odd like Queen G3 or something. What does Leela say about Queen G3? Is it even a Leela move? Is it so bad? Queen G3. I don't know. I fear he's going to do something weird, and something like Queen G3 wouldn't be so crazy for me. I mean, yeah, no, it's possible. G4 is it is possible. Yeah, yeah. I guess you can go Bishop G2. These lines seem to be okay for white apparently, so I guess you can do that. And then Bishop G2. This is completely possible there. And then I guess we go E5. You go Knight D2 some stage and do this. This looks very reasonable to me as well. Absolutely, Mr. Beads. That is an absolutely reasonable move. I mean, it's not bad for this is not bad for white. It's just the whole psychological situation. I just can't. You know, it's just incredible. Simply, it's. I think you're really seeing the Rook A2. Rook A2 is possible. Yeah, Rook A2 is possible as well. Yeah. It's not such a stupid move, but it looks like Leela says yes, but don't follow it up with Rook E2, which is what you really want to do, right? Yeah, this sort of situation is getting dangerous for Gukesh. If Black gets this sort of stuff in, this is getting really dangerous. I mean, Leela's not saying that it's a disaster, but getting an F5 is really it could be a real problem. You could just things could go badly wrong there for Gukesh. Doesn't want to allow that, which is why G4 is quite a nice move. Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think you do. I think you realize, stuff happens to you in life as you get older, and you realize that you didn't die from it. You just kept on going somehow, and you found a way. And then, that can be work projects that go difficult, or personal illness, or family stuff. And I certainly found that that was true. Yeah. I don't think he's I think he's struggling to calculate any move, to be honest. Gukesh. Oh dear, 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 dear. Oh, this is one of the weirdest streams I think I will ever do. Yeah. I think he's trying to find weird ways to deal with the idea with knight c5. Yeah. I mean, he might be looking at I don't know, something like this, just to stop the knight getting over, and then stop the knight by, might be weird stuff. Wouldn't amaze me if we didn't see a bizarre move next move, eh? Yeah, it's true. It's yeah, he should have spent the time earlier, and but it was nerves there. I think he just he sort of thought, okay, the one good, I don't feel good in myself, but I've got the time going for me, so let's keep the thing going. I'm sure this is the move that was in my prep. Whereas he really just needed to sit down and say, okay, let me think now, what am I going to do here? You know, I'm a little bit better. I've got the two bishops. What am I going to do with it? The beginning of the match, he would have, he would have done it, but yeah. No, it's true. I mean, it's hard to realize all those things, Max, but you do just sort of have to, yeah. I think life teaches you that. And if you're lucky, that the lessons are not too disastrous somehow. It's um, well now, yeah, 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 but I'm sure he's had this type of position before, John. I think it's a we play so many games in Blitz nowadays. You have everything, I think, somehow. But he's just thinking, he's just thinking to himself, why did I play those moves so quickly, just allowing the knight into c5? He just can't understand it. He just can't fathom what's happened to himself, I think. And yeah, 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 yeah. The long things are very, very good. Unless you've got something unbelievably concrete to calculate, 30 minutes is way too much. I set a rule for myself. Oh, G3. Okay. Yeah. I set a rule for myself that 20 minutes was the most somehow. Ding whipping it out. So is Gukesh going to play knight d2? I think he might. Was he going to trust himself with bishop g2? Come on, he's got to play it. He's got to play it. He's got to play it. Either bishop g2, he's calculated it all, or he's got to play knight d2. You can't think again. You can't think again now. Oh, this is painful. Oh, this is painful. This is so bad. This so bad. 92 knight fd7. Yeah, that looks really nasty, doesn't it, actually? God, that looks really bad. Wow. That's even worse than I realized. Wow. Ooh. No, I don't want. I don't care who wins. Actually, what I don't want any player to collapse somehow, and I don't want any player to just end up playing like a shadow of himself. And I just know this feeling. I've had this feeling myself, and yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible when it happens to you. So, Gukesh, well, I went to the toilet. Okay. Well, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to leave you here. We didn't manage to get many moves at all, unfortunately. But I'm going off to celebrate my mum's birthday. So yeah, keep Leela nice and occupied for me, and yeah, enjoy the other streams on this. Hoping that Gukesh plays Bishop E2 here, Bishop G2 here, because I think any other move is looking really, really bad. And yeah, you know, just yeah, thanks very much, everyone. I will be back tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully we'll and then hopefully for the whole game. But thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks very much, USA. I'll tell my mum that there's some very strange chess players who are all wishing a happy birthday. That's really nice. And yeah, well, fingers crossed for a reasonable end to this game in any case. He might go Queen D1, Gukesh, just thinking all of a sudden, but doesn't look great somehow. But thanks very much, everyone. 83, my mum. So thanks very much. Oh, USA's money's on their food, indeed.